to another episode of the Conscious Collective.
We're here again. It's Lucy and Emily. And this week we are going to be talking about grow through what you go through.
I mean, wow. Can you just say that again?
Grow through what you go through. And it's something that came in channeled this morning, just landed in as such a hot topic.
Confirmations. You just opened up your Instagram and there another image was saying practically exactly the same thing. And as I was listening to you message me about it, I was like, yes, 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 yes. I mean, it's just perfect. Grow through what you go through, because otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, you're not learning.
What's the point? You know, if you're not...
Otherwise, I love that. What's the point? Well,
I know, and I'm
really feeling it far too deeply, and not actually seeing the bigger picture. So this is what we want to talk on today, don't we? It's kind of like, can we see the lessons and see the growth in absolutely everything we go through? And when you do, and it takes practice.
It does.
And reminders when you have spiritual friends who go, hold on a second, let's look at the lessons here, let's zoom out. It's so much easier, isn't it?
Yeah. And I wish we kind of had a big diamond, like I've got my little crystal, but go through what you go through. I mean, and this one is quite complex in its kind of makeup, but can we see what we're going through from every little aspect of it? That. We are just, you just look at something and everything can be quite 2D, 3D. But really, when we start to bring in all the other aspects that make it up, all the other actors, all the other people involved, perspectives, consciousnesses of even things that we consider material, like this microphone, it's having its own conscious perspective of it all. Like, then we can start to grow in a more multidimensional way, but one that can actually help us in grounding, I want to say, even though it's kind of expansive, it kind of puts things into perspective, doesn't it? That it can just be like, oh, yeah, maybe I was reacting from emotion, or maybe I was reacting just from my point of view. But really...
And mostly that's what we do. I love that you said that, because mostly that's what we're doing. We're just going on our own individual experience of something based on, our emotions. Really, we're very emotionally led, which is fine. And that's what we're here for.
Which is also good, because at least we're getting to a stage where we can be more emotional. I mean, our parents' generation, it just wasn't talked about. And
so there's so much just in that, isn't there? There's so much. We're doing so much. And I also want to say that today as well, which is anyone who is working on raising their awareness is such a legend. You're all legends.
Yes,
honestly all need a medal.
We're cheering you on, honestly. It's not an easy thing to be going through at all.
Because it's easier to go the old paradigm way and just 3D everything.
And stick on Netflix and have some popcorn or something.
Drink a glass of wine and numb the pain. No, this is like radical change, radical shift, new ways, new paradigm. And that equals hard work.
It does. And for some people like us, it's just not optional. Like, we just have to. We just know that there's we know there's so much more to come, and we haven't come on to Earth at this time just to have this kind of light, breezy, airy fairy experience,
or like numbed, zoned out, bypassing.
And a lot of us might have gone through that to wake up, but again, that's a whole other conversation, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's talk about this grow through what you go through. So, how do we do that, Lucy?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
How do we do that? Well, I think what we're learning, and we are learning on a daily basis, is to give ourselves some pause moments. Wouldn't you agree, Em? To go, okay, I'm not going to react the way I once would have done, because we're constantly being triggered into our healing. That's what I want. So I want us to kind of feel like we're being triggered into our healing.
I was going to ask you to repeat that again, because honestly, what a way that, the pressure has built to that extent. But again, I see the coal turning into a diamond. That's what's going to happen. We're all diamonds, and we're just breaking through. And we don't have thousands and thousands of years to do it. Yeah, we've had all those lifetimes to learn from, but really,
It's crunch time.
It's crunch time.
Yeah.
And being in the present is going to help you.
Really,
isn't it?
Totally zooming into the present moment. But that does, I mean, Emily and I have both experienced so much, and we always do, like constant growth, constant challenges, and we all are. We know that you all are as well. And it feels like a lot. And so
it's because it is.
It is. And we want to acknowledge that today, that it really is. If it feels a lot to you, that's because it is. And that's why we came. We came for this huge awakening. And we came, and this is where an expression we use a lot is we put our big girl boots on or our big boy boots on, and we're like, come on, let's just do it. And we want to be your cheerleaders for that. It's like, you can get through this when times are tough. We can do this. But take those pause moments to go, okay, what is coming up for me? And where is it coming from? So, we're talking about things where, well, I just want to zoom out here. So we're talking about examples where maybe you're, doing all of these amazing spiritual things. You're going on retreats and you're raising your consciousness. I'm thinking of some wonderful conscious collective loved ones that are probably watching this. We see you, we know what you're doing, you're expanding, you're doing so much. And then you've got people around you that are just not really where you are because you've expanded so quickly and you've gone wee like a supernova. And then it's like all these people around you are very, very kind of, shall we say, 3D. And I just want you to have such deep compassion for people who haven't radically shifted maybe in the way that you have. That is not their fault. So compassion for others is one.
I mean, that's just so beautiful. Let's just
so
hover
important.
on that point for a moment.
Important.
I mean, you often reflect that back to me and just say, but what about from their perspective?
What about where they are at?
Because they can feel that you're going through this, and that's going to be sending a lot of rumbles through them. But they don't have any of those skills to digest it and to process it. So
they're feeling triggered emotionally.
Yeah, which they might not be in touch with their emotions as much, and then it gets all bottled up.
Yeah.
So
lots of compassion.
Don't need to analyze it necessarily, but compassion.
Just lots of compassion, because that will help you go, okay, I'm not going to be triggered. And then also, examining your triggers, why you're feeling emotional. Is it because actually genuinely, as an empath, you need to put some more boundaries in place. That's quite often the case. We need to go, actually, we're learning. We've opened up our pot of emotions. Now we're feeling our emotions. Now we realize that means that we need to have better boundaries as empaths. That could be what your lesson is. So this is what we're saying about growing through what we're going through. What is it that you're experiencing? Rather than shoving the emotions down, this is about looking at them, observing them. And I think bit by bit.
Yeah. And I do think that this is even harder than what we've gone through, but we've got all that experience to gain from. And the kind of more that we really truly are with our feelings and really looking at that root and just going, yes or no, yes or no, yes or no, the more we're going to build on this. And again, that's why having that buddy, that spiritual friend that can mirror these things to you, that can support you, that just can help you is just so fundamental. And that's what we really, want to help you provide you with in this conscious collective through our gatherings, through this podcast, through our membership, that you can find someone that you harmonize and resonate with, that you can really share these experiences with and cheer each other on, but just witness how difficult it can be to grow through what you're experiencing. Yeah, it's so fundamental.
But I suppose, again, let's zoom out again and let's say, just remind yourself that this is an experience and that you came here to learn and grow. And in these moments, we forget, of course we forget that because we've come here with this amnesia. We're so programmed to have forgotten it that, of course, in the heat of the moment of things, we do forget it. We go back into, especially when you're living with people that aren't necessarily, on this path. if you are lucky to have a partner that is dwelling in the 5D with you, that's wonderful and sumptuous and fantastic. But so many people, you might be living with somebody who is, but you might be working with people that aren't. So, whatever resonates with you, I'm sure there's so many people that spring to mind when you hear this that, trigger you. But again, just remember they're not on that kind of zoomed out, that they haven't got that level of awareness that you have. But I also wanted to say about healing as well, because a lot of it is triggering these people. So let's talk about this, Emily. We had a nice chat before we came on air, as it were, about seeing people in another way as well. So firstly, having deep compassion for them, but also seeing them as actors in your play.
Which is
what
so
it is.
Helpful.
Really, it's so helpful.
And
what are you? Sorry, Emily. What are you? What are you as an actor in my play? But you can only see this when you give yourself some time out from whatever situation it is. What are you showing me? Because they are there to. If you're feeling triggered, that's within you. The trigger is within you. And yes, they will have their own things going on for sure. So see that as well. See that where that is coming from. But also, what's that triggering in me? Because if I was in complete love and light wholeness, I wouldn't be feeling triggered right now. And it's when you work with a buddy, your buddy will be able to see very quickly and clearly what that's triggering within you. And as well within yourself, your body's only ever your mirror. So just going through that process of saying, oh my goodness, this happened. And then just taking a moment to see where it comes from. How healing is that, Emily?
Yeah. Just
it
choosing,
feels so much better, doesn't it?
Consciously choosing how you want to react. So letting it digest first, seeing where it's kind of like distorted you, and then going, oh, right, that's not my distortion. I'm going to come back to my alignment and move forward. Yeah. And when we talk about the movie, I want to make it really broad and help people to think of it from another way. So when movies first came out, there was just picture, there was no sound, right? So that was very easy to digest. And then they started to have, talking, and then they started to have good guys and bad guys. And I would like to think of us in 2025, we've watched a lot of movies, right? And we've experienced a lot of different lives, a lot of different experiences our soul has. So our soul has not come here to have like a 1980s, 1990s rom-com. Okay, we've decided.
Oh no, why not?
I know.
Damn it.
And we can have that aspect too.
I know exactly
but on
what you mean.
saving this earth, we need villains that are really going to push us to the brink of expansion. And we can vilify them as much as we want, and we can label them and we can other them. But what are they really, really, truly doing? Yeah. And when I hear people saying, well, I'm just not going to watch the news anymore, my heart sings. I'm like, yes, they've consciously chosen not to do that. But also with this, our souls are so multidimensional, have experienced so much. That's why this level of complexity comes in, because it's not just people that we might live with or our pets. It could be people in Sainsbury's, and it could be people when we're driving, because we've actually said, bring it on.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to go and just have fish and chips. We want the whole
We can't complain when we get lessons because
all
when
of
we're
it.
saying we want expansion.
And
so let's say that. If you're on this trajectory of expansion, which you have signed up for, if you're watching this, you have signed up for that.
You're there.
And you're confirming
Spoiler
it every
alert.
day by watching more of this stuff, by looking on your Instagram, by everything you sign up to. You're saying, I want more. You're saying, I want more. So we cannot have an expectation of a perfect, dreamy, easy breezy life.
No.
Because we are transmuting, especially if you've learned energy work as well, then they're going to be like, we'll give it to Lucy because she can transmute that. We'll give it to Emily. She knows she knows Reiki. She can work on that. So we're just going to have to get better at going, okay, this is part of the bigger picture here. And yeah, if it feels personal, then we have personal stuff energy to shift.
And
that's
let's
okay.
get rid of it.
We can do that.
Yeah, let's shift it so that we can stay more in the higher frequencies more of the time. Yeah. And whilst we we're going to have that conscious growing within us. Yes, energy work can help. And, that you're not meant to do it all alone.
No.
You are meant to be supported on this. You are meant to use other people's tools, right? You're not expecting the chef to make, or one person to play all those roles or make all that food.
So let's really highlight this, because that is a big thing. And even energy workers, I would say we're even worse, is we expect that we should be constantly love and light and in the high vibrational frequencies. And I think it's quite common that if you offer help to another light worker or another Reiki master, they're like, I've got this, I can do it myself, I can speak to my guides and I can do it myself. But my guides always say to me, co-creation, Lucy, you're here to work with others and receive from others, so that you don't feel like it's all on you, because that pressure of it's all on you, yes, you can do it yourself, but do you need to? Do you have to? Do you want to? Doesn't it feel nice to be supported by someone else?
Of course it does. We want to be able to give nourishing, but receive nourishing. Give it to ourselves. Make sure we're nourishing ourselves, being kind to ourselves when we slip and we fall, but also giving it back. We are these beautiful little fragments of light, but we are all light.
And if we've got a problem with receiving from someone else, we have to look at that.
Mirror. Something's going on.
Something's going on. If you think, no, I've got this myself, even if you are on this journey of healing yourself, and maybe that doesn't mean just you.
Yeah, maybe coming to learn independence, being independent, again, you have to rely on every other people, electricity to come into your house, water to come into your taps. Put independence into perspective if that's what you've come here to learn.
And you know what? I think this plays into the masculine and feminine as well.
Oh,
don't you think? It's like masculine and feminine.
I'm sure I will, but go on.
Well, I think a lot of us go through this as light workers. We maybe have been too much in our masculine, or we've been doing and taking it all on ourselves because of the traumatized feminine energy. And so we feel like we've had to overcompensate by being in our masculines more, to fit in, to, because women work very differently now, don't we? We all go out to work, and it's not that sort of old school way of things being. So there's been this play of the masculine and femininity within us, within all of us, and we're trying to get that right. And I think balance. It's really hard. So we quite often slip at the moment, especially our generation, we sort of slip into that independent woman. We've got it all, or independent man as well. I think for men and women, it's so tricky to get that balance right. So again, raising that level of awareness, if you're not open to receiving support from other people in whatever way, then you're too heavy and you're masculine. You're trying to do it all. And that leads to burnout, overwhelm. Again, another thing that Emily and I feel like maybe that's a whole nother podcast episode, because
we've been male and
this,
feminine aspect. Feminine, because I had a client yesterday and this came up. And I think part of her masculinity, kind of that aspect, came through for herself, for learning. But there was a whole wave where women, the collective of women, needed to embrace this more masculine way.
And I think what we did was we sort of tipped over the other way.
Yes. And then our bodies expressed that to us. Yeah. So it's like, oh, my body's talking to me. I've done that again. Okay. How do I bring that back into balance?
And how would you say your body does that?
Well, hers did it in a specific way. I won't go into details.
No. How about you?
But
have you experienced anything?
So probably my tummy. Like I'm an earth element in the Chinese 5 element system. Okay. So my tummy will always tell me if it's upset. I'll know that, I'm going into one or the other.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm certainly out of balance. I haven't analyzed it actually from when I'm more in my male, when I'm more in my female.
I feel like that's some homework for people to do. Yes. I think homework for us and homework for anyone watching is, how do we become more consciously aware? So for me, now I'm thinking about it, is maybe when I'm when I'm getting overwhelmed, that for me is maybe when I'm just feeling like it's all on me, like I've got to do everything and it's too much for one person. So for me, it's in my head, bizarrely. I think I get really clouded in my head because I've just got too much to-do list going on. too much of that do. Anyway, lovely. Okay, so is there anything else on that?
Well, we'd love to hear from you too. So do please comment below and let us know how you where does it show in your body? Often it can be hips and knees, where we're going forward in life. It could be shoulders, it could be neck, it could be eyes where we don't want to see. So any of these things, you might get a twitch in your eye. But
it'd be lovely to hear.
Do feedback. Yeah,
it'd be nice to hear from you guys because we're just exploring this. This is the kind of chats that Emily and I have all the time. We're again just trying to raise our awareness. And I think, this is what we're talking about, which is understanding, just learning the lessons from whatever you're experiencing in life. But I think, giving yourself that time out feels really
step
just
away
the
from
biggest
that situation. Literally step out of that energy that you're in. So if you receive a message, email or something, it doesn't resonate with you, or you react, it triggers you.
And
it triggers you.
Reply.
Let's use the word trigger.
It triggers you. Don't reply from that triggered place.
Walk away. I think sometimes when we're very busy, we just want to respond and be very efficient. I mean, I know I do. And then I think, ooh, that wasn't where I wanted to respond from. That's okay. Next time I'll be that much closer to doing it, or I'll do it.
Yeah. And then when you feel triggered, then it's the next step. When you give yourself time to stop, is then saying, okay, where am I feeling that in my body? Right? Where am I feeling that trigger in my body? Here. Okay, right. This is triggering some emotion. Where's that emotion from? Okay. It will very quickly tell you where it's from. And then we do a little bit of energy work to clear it. Yeah. And it's as simple as that. That's how you've moved through something differently to how you would have done before. And that's the new way, because then once you've cleared that, then that lesson's kind of learned and you've grown, you've expanded. Yeah. So really that's it. That's how we should be moving through things. But I know that it sounds really easy, and in the moment it doesn't feel easy.
No.
So yeah, hopefully that will help though.
So we're cheering you on as you grow through what you go through, because I'm sure many of you actually are doing that, but maybe you just weren't aware that that's kind of what you're dealing with, and that's why it can be really heavy.
I'm sure people are doing this all the time. I remember my sister and I years ago learning that lesson of not reacting, not sending a message from that reactive place. I remember that through talking to my sister,
Oh,
so
I love that.
It was that conversation that was so important to have.
The vocalizing of it does help.
Yeah.
And someone else kind of seeing you and hearing you and feeling you and caring.
And I remember also noticing that when I just calmed down and then just took myself from that, from that higher perspective and understanding where that other person might have been coming from. And sometimes I just want to say that might take 24 hours, 48 hours, and it's so tempting, like you said, because if it's work-wise, you want to get back to somebody, whatever, but take as long as you need to find that place so that you're coming from that place of, okay, this is my clear message, this is my truth, rather than this is my emotion or their emotion being fired back, or my emotion coming at them.
Yeah, and I want to bring in timelines again.
Okay.
Because if we're replying from a reactive place, from a triggered place, that's the frequency we were setting forward. Right? So we're not going to be really growing on a higher timeline that's for our best interest, which is just an easier place to live from. So it's not that you're taking out 5 minutes or 24 hours or 48 hours to process where you want to respond to. And I think 48 hours might, that's a really generous amount of time. But actually you're saving years of future kind of issues in doing that. Does that make sense?
Totally, especially if it's somebody that you have a connection with and a long-standing relationship with.
Yeah.
It needs that we
You're
can't
setting
have
new
that
grounds
moving forward.
and new boundaries
you
of
have to
actually
say, no, we're
who I
healing
am.
this. Let's deal with this. Let's
Yes.
make sure that this relationship remains healthy. And from now on, and like you said, you're moving forward in the right direction rather
from a
than
different
carrying
point.
on the trauma, your trauma and theirs, moving forward. Yeah,
We're on a new
I love that.
trajectory. And I think that's really
And that's well
important.
worth taking 24 hours or
Oh,
however
gosh,
long.
then it seems like it's no time at all, isn't it?
And I feel so aware that having this conversation is so easy for us right now from this place. But when you're in it, it feels so
we feel you.
different. It feels so different, doesn't it? So let this be a reminder to you. And play this episode if you're being triggered.
Because I'll probably re-listen to it myself
I think
to
I
be
will.
reminded.
Yeah, definitely.
Because when we're in that fight, flight, responsive mode, so many of the receptors in our brains don't work. And I want to remind you, that's what we're actually training here. Our neural pathways, we're training them to go, I've been triggered. I don't like that. I say no.
Reprogramming.
Get that
New way.
reprogramming.
New way.
Bring some bliss codes in if you speak light language. That will shift you so quickly. Thank goodness for light language. Thank goodness. It's the best healing, best medicine.
What else could people do? If they're Reiki, they could bring in the light. So a lot of people, sorry to interrupt you.
And nature.
Nature.
Right.
Oh,
but I think sometimes just stepping out of that situation, if you want to be bold, why don't you stand on your desk and then really look at, what was that from Dead Poet Society or something?
I don't know that.
Robin Williams got all the children to stand on their desk and look at the classroom from a different point of view.
Oh, I love that.
And I remember us being enabled to do that, I think when we were 12 or something at the
I really
American
wish there was
school
a table
I went
that
to.
we could stand on.
But you just take your
Love
awareness
that.
to the corner of the room and up in the ceiling and you observe yourself. Oh yeah, I'm just a beautiful individual. I hope you will say that about yourselves. Having this experience, and it too will pass. And how much do you really want that to keep being in your frequency and your awareness?
And I think
grounded.
self-soothing as well, like your nervous system. Just having that awareness that if you
Yeah,
are
you
in
can
like
relax
a fight or
behind
flight,
the ears. This will relax your fight flight meridian. I've got other videos I can link to in this that does the triple warmer smoothie where you do that. And you're just tracing that meridian backwards from the temple, down the neck, shoulder, off the fourth finger. This will help you. There's so many easy things. And if you're in a meeting and you cannot do this, visualize it. I've had an allergic reaction come on, done this in my mind because I was holding things and just talking to my body. This is fine. I'm not going to react. And it goes.
Love it.
So practice, keep doing it. Know we're cheering you on. We're growing. We're growing as we go through it too. We have so much love for you.
I feel an activation coming along. Let's channel some light language that is going to be specifically for bringing your awareness fully into the present moment, back into your body, but having that higher perspective as well. So let's do that now. So you can come back to this episode and just fast forward to this activation. If you are being triggered and you're feeling like you want to take some time out to see things from another perspective. Does that sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll hand it over to you so my light language doesn't
Okay, and if I
interrupt.
stop, then
We'll go with the flow.
We'll go with the flow.
Okay.
Sukunoriata, beloved friends. It's the kandari to gona geta is normal to have these times and these moments. Kandoro to shente gaya da da zukuna rarti da da da. Siatoroto yadara. Remember who you are. Ngonda tota singatoro jiandarat. This is just an experience. Konda de yadari yadaka. Sikotoroto chiondoroto yadada. Sutoroto to. You can move through anything. Anything at all, shotoro, with love. Drop your awareness into your heart and breathe in there. See, it's safe here. All is well. Remember the experience. Remember the truth of who you are. You are love. And you are infinitely loved. Beyond all belief. Remember your connection to the all that is. Sending through codes of love. Open and receive. Just breathe in. And activate that heart chakra. Feeling energy all around your heart, radiating around your heart. You are love. You are safe. And all is well. Relaxing the nervous system, calming, finding that deep peace within. And so it is. So hopefully feeling nice and relaxed now. And just allowing yourself to gently come back into full present awareness, opening your eyes when you're ready. Just taking some calming breaths, feeling those shoulders nice and relaxed now. And so it is.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right, my loves. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Please like, subscribe, and share with your besties.
Definitely. Share everything with your spiritual besties, right? Okay, we love you so much.
Sending you so much love. Joyful
Bye.
blessings. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Please remember to like and subscribe. If you want to work with us directly, see the show notes below. Thank you.